It's your boy ConsertViz34. I hope I you guys can hear me and I'm sounding better. Had some technical difficulties with the setup here, but welcome to the Saturday night stream, Patrick and or Alan. If you guys are on, let me know if there's any issues that you're seeing right now. I'm gonna actually send a message here. Hey, Patrick, can you hear me? Is my screen moving? Because I know Alan said it was frozen. Just let me know. Yeah, let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly. So now it's having some technical difficulties here. Um, but welcome to the Saturday stream. Glad to be here and back. What a night so far. Oh, everything sounds good. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna delete the old stream that we that just we're gonna I'll have to all right, I'll delete it later. But yeah, a great weekend for DMB to come back. We'll get to the shows in a little bit, and right now the band is playing another great show after coming off of Camden. This day in DMB history, 6/15/2013. I was at a show with my uncle, and I'll have to post a picture on Twitter. I did on Facebook. It came up in my memories, but this was the show with the Let's Go Bruins chants. This is back when the Blackhawks and Bruins were playing in the Cup final. Went to Mansfield the same night as one of the Cup games. There's Let's Go Bruins chants, and people thought it was Victor Wooten, and actually Victor Wooten came the next night. And yes, I was glad the Blackhawks won, just like I'm glad the Blues won. These Central Division teams beating the Bruins is something I support because I hate the Bruins as a former Whalers, briefly a Whalers supporter and Flyers fan. I don't like the Bruins. But that was a great show with my uncle, who saw the band back in the '90s. Who's an accomplished woodwind player. I went to Boston Conservatory, but we went to go to a show, and it was cool going with him because he just picks up on music like that. I mean, he's he's been he's been at lunch. Um, he was telling me about this accomplished saxophone player that they would just sit with him at lunch at Boston Conservatory there. So going to that show, he was able to pick up on stuff. He called Warehouse the banjo effect song because essentially Dave is making like with his strumming and his muting, it's like a banjo effect for Warehouse. And he remembered recently from his one of the shows in the early '90s he had been to. My uncle's been to tons of shows in his day. Um, Living in Boston during college and grad school, so on the early to mid '90s. But anyway, yeah, that was the last show of 2015 I went to. Third consecutive show. I went to Hartford 2 nights, and then Mansfield. Another day, another dollar. Yep. It's, talking to Patrick. All right, well, let's get started here. So first, I want to go through a couple of things, and then we'll get to the sets and see what's going to be popping with the Jersey show, Camden, New Jersey. Sorry about the yawning. It's another. I'm always doing stuff all day on Saturday. But first thing I want to talk about is the Rhino's Choice CD, which I have right here. I know at Talking Tunes that you have it. And this is the Rhino's Choice CD. And I did not get the vinyl. To me, I mean, I know it's only $17 and you get MP3 download. I just don't need. To me, it wasn't worth the purchase for vinyl. I just wanted the main reason I purchased this is for the Ravens. So the track listing here on out: 825-18 Fiddler's Green Amphitheater, Can't Stop 629-18 Huntington Bank Pavilion at Northerly Island out in Chirac, Raven 831-18 at the Gorge Amphitheater, Typical Situation 613-18 Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, Guilford, which was not part of this year's touring. Come Tomorrow 6618 DTE Energy Music Theater out there in Clarkson, Michigan. And then BOA, Best of What's Around, 6118 Key Bank Pavilion, Burgessville, Pennsylvania. I know, Patrick, you guys do not have that show there in the Pittsburgh area. Satellite, 12, 13, 18 from Capital One Arena in DC, uh, home of the Washington Capitals. Shake Me Like a Monkey. That's going to be the set closer, probably. I hope it's not, but wow, they just played Shake Me Like a Monkey. Um, But anyway, so Satellite, then the space between 821-18 lay Schwab Amphitheater in Bend, Oregon. One of the unique shows they added last year. At least it's not an encore closer. It's a set closer. Encore closer, Shake Me Like a Monkey is the worst possible thing you can have happen in Pensacola this year. Alabama, Orange Beach, Alabama, the rescheduled show last year. So after space between Virginia and the Rain, 7118 American Family Insurance Amphitheater at Summerfest, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then what would you say, 824-18 Fiddler's Green Amphitheater in Inglewood? Um, that's the set. That's the track listing. Here on out, beautiful. Can't stop. Side Raven, amazing. Finally get a recording of Raven, which is awesome that we have that. Just because I've been waiting for a high quality recording to come out. It's been on the SiriusXM Friday Night Concert series. Buddy from Ants Marching ripped it off, ripped that and got it to people. Shout out to Chad Dizzy. But to have a high quality version from the soundboard, it's about freaking time. Should have been one of the bonus disc tracks for the live tracks 46, but it wasn't. And after Raven, Typical Situation, these two are the best two on by far the best two songs on this thing. Um, I have that Benaroya Hall. I have that download, Patrick, um, which is awesome. Hearing that Nancy's. I actually used to play along with the Nancy's from that because I like playing Tim's part because it's just Dave solo. And same thing with 41 on that. I like to play it with Dave there. So really cool. Yeah, the Raven and Typical are the best two. Come Tomorrow, we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit, the remix of that. But Come Tomorrow, Skip. Best of What's Around, great. Satellite, as I was telling Talking Tunes yesterday, this Satellite, a waste of a song. I mean, this is a DC show where they had a lot of other stuff. Too much noise over Dave. I hate the new Satellite. The new Satellite, I mean the DMB 3.0 version of Satellite. Too much noise. Uh, this recording shows it. Space Between, pretty cool. It's alright. It's a cool thing. Virginia in the Rain, love it. Summerfest. Why isn't this song played more? Now the band is doing a lot right now that makes me happy. So we want to focus on that. But Virginia in the Rain should be getting more plays. I know it got previous plays. I was at the first like full Virginia in the Rain in Hartford. That was the first ever time they played it together. But and then we have, what would you say? It's cool. What would you say is cool? But it again, the best version of this have already passed. So the songs that I would take off this, just because I would want more special stuff, what would you say? I would take the Space Between off it too. Satellite, Come Tomorrow, and Can't Stop. Um, oh, it is a set closer. Shaking Like a Monkey, set closer. Ugh. I mean, it's not that bad. The last song of the show, that's when it's horrible. So they're gonna have something special. I'm guessing they'll end with Halloween, Maybe a Billy's in the Halloween. Who knows? But again, I would take off. What would you say? Space between Satellite and Come Tomorrow and Can't Stop. Here on out, Raven, Typical, Boa, and Virginia and the Rain are just amazing. Uh, and Talking Tunes with his setlist game. They played Shake Me Like a Monkey, but in the wrong spot. So he's not going to get the bonus points of it being spotted correctly. Go to DMB, go to antsmarching.org and download the Ants Marching app, DMB Hub app, and you can play the set list game, which is a very fun thing to do. I don't like doing it. I like living vicariously through Talking Tunes and rooting for him. It's too, I would overthink it. And I know it's fun just to do it, just like fantasy football, which I play. I play fantasy football, but I can't do it with DMB. And what's funny is with fantasy football, I know less about that. I know more about DMB and the statistics of that. The fun thing about fantasy football, I love football, but the like I don't know every team and every like the value of every player, even though I know how good players are. So it makes it more fun. Um, but anyway, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, Rhino's choice. There's good and bad. They kind of snuck in some good with the bad. There's it. So it's like um, it evens itself out. But I mean, I just wish there was better selection. Like Rhino's choice, it shouldn't have just been Satellite. It would, but I know they want to showcase everything they're doing with Buddy Strong now. But some of these bonus discs, you don't need to play set. Like we have a bajillion versions of Satellite. Now there's certain songs where you can have so many of them. You can have a lot of 41s, Halloweens, the Stones, the C Cups. Those songs evolve over time and they're great every time. Satellite is not a song I want to hear right now. I don't want to hear, Seven and Shake Me Like a Monkey on a bonus disc. And respectfully, I know some people like those songs, but I don't want to hear that stuff on a freaking bonus disc. I don't. I want to hear Lying in the Hands of God on the bonus disc. I don't want to hear Seven and Shake Me Like a Monkey. I'm sorry. We don't need another version of it. They're very standard. It's not like, oh, that Seven was just Seven is one of those songs they play a heck of a song before it, or they're gonna play one after, and they want a high energy song to get people moving to the next song. And the band, I think the selections of the bonus discs have not been that good recently. Now the Live Tracks 47 pick was awesome, but yeah, I mean you can't go wrong in a 97 show in Hartford, or you can't go wrong with that. So but the bonus disc for Live Tracks 46 was piss poor. This thing right here is hit or miss. I say all the time, Katy Perry, hot and cold on there. So that's Rhino's choice. Next thing we want to move on to is Come Tomorrow remix with Brandy. Brandy is turned up more on this. Brandy is more present. I don't like this. Great message. Okay, I'll start off with that. Let's start off with the positive. Great message. The thing about Come Tomorrow, the song, that's what I'm talking about. Um, what they're doing is Oh, and talking to the reason I think they're not doing a lot of fall stuff, they want to use this for live tracks and they want to use this for warehouse discs. They know what hit. Those MSG shows are probably going to be saved to potentially be used as a live tracks in the decades that they're going to have even after this band's done to release something special. Just like Grateful Dead shows are popping up like Cornell 77 and shows during 77, like New Haven Coliseum that were never played. You're going to have a Madison Square Garden night one or night two. You're going to have a Columbus, Ohio be looked at well after this band is done fully touring as a full band, even if it's part of the band, Dave and Friends or Stefan and Friends, decades from now. So that's what they're doing with the fall stuff. But with Come Tomorrow, the title song from the album that just came out last year, what this is to me is a song is an attempt to Mohegan Sun. I would love to see Mohegan Sun as a show, and that's another show that you have a say goodbye in the Stone back to back. So we'll see what happens there. How's it going, Groton 27? Thanks for coming on and Leia, right? Leia, am I pronouncing it correctly? Leia, not Leah, Leia. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Which I believe, AKA DMB Mama, the other account, Leia. Yeah, okay, yes, yes. Speaking of that, I'm getting sidetracked again. This week, a bajillion years ago, Glass Houses was at the top of the Billboard charts. Billy Joel, and there's a song called "All for Lena." Uh, Lay, but it's just a fun fact. I saw it today, which is my favorite song off of Glass Houses, "All for Lena." There. Anyway, so "Come Tomorrow" is a song that is away from the world. Is I'm lost. I don't know what to believe in. It's this world is hopeless. And "Come Tomorrow" is the reprise to "Away from the World." Um, yes, just like Gaucho and Mercy, they mean well, but they're not written that well. Although I like Gaucho. Oh, Layla. I like Clapton, Eric Clapton. Yeah, Layla. um, But yeah, so it's a like it's a great way to say, okay, if it was a movie, be like, oh, this is the ending. Okay, we're hopeless, we don't believe, I'm away from the world, broken things in the riff, and I'm upset. And now I'm married and now I'm happy, and we're gonna pass this along to the kids. Great idea, great plot, but just horribly written. They picked the wrong director. Dave Matthews is not a good screenplay writer right now or script writer right now for writing good dialogue. And that's before we even add Brandy to the first song, the first version, and then the second version. It's not well written. And yeah, he talks about Farmer's Farm, and the kids are gonna take it up, but no, it's not written. What if you just read through the lyrics? They're horribly. It's not a good written song, and then the melody just puts me to sleep, which is nice when I have problems going to sleep. But the melody just it's too boring. Um, that's the only way I can explain it. So the song from the beginning is just at a disadvantage. It's case in point why I don't want Dave Matthews writing more music. I want him to just play his old stuff and maybe perform an unreleased song that he comes up with, improv something, but a full song, full album of even 3 or 4 new songs, even if a bunch of it's old stuff, I still don't want that. And this is why "Come Tomorrow" is just not a good to me. Just doesn't do it for me. And it's just not even like I just dislike it. Like I don't like certain songs that much. Like I don't like "You and Me," but I understand why it was a hit. And that song too was a little bit weakly written, but it's still a song where I get why people like it. But "Come Tomorrow" is just not a good single. And then Billy's in the encore one. Oh, they may do Halloween then. I think they're doing Halloween. If they got Trippin' Billy's E1, then they're gonna go into Halloween. That would be the way to end it. But "Come Tomorrow" is not a good song. And then to use the resources of Brandy Carlisle for that song again and just turn her up more, it nothing really to me. And I think there was maybe some other stuff underlying. I've only heard it a couple times, I think twice, but it doesn't do it. And my biggest concern, I'm finally saving up the money to go to the Gorge. Brandy Carlisle, while she tours, is typically in Seattle. It is Labor Day weekend. If she's not on a tour, she'll probably be at the Gorge. My biggest concern is I'm flying out to the Gorge. It's going to be a great weekend regardless. But instead of having Brandy on something more special, even like a long black veil, maybe a spoon. Uh, and we joked about this, DMB Mamas, that you have to pay $10,000 just to hear Spoon and certain rare stuff from Dave along with Brandy. Like that's the only way you're hearing Spoon in 2019 is to pay 10 grand, 8 to 10 grand for a vacation there. I hope we get Spoon at the Gorge, but my concern is, and I know Groton says, yeah, we'll get her probably 2 nights. My concern is I don't. It's still a waste. Even if we get Spoon or we get something else, it's a waste of a song to have her come in and, oh, we're gonna do "Come Tomorrow." Like, no, don't do it. So I don't like. I really just don't like this idea. And I know. Oh, she does 4. Oh, Angel from Montgomery, which is I'm still waiting to hear it for DMB. Heard it. Tedeschi Trucks Band did a cover of it um, last year, which was awesome. Susan Tedeschi, who guested in Cortez with Dave Matthews Band in Jacksonville. Beautiful singer, great band. Tedeschi Trucks Band, highly suggested there. So that's all I got to say about Come Tomorrow. And Talking Tunes was saying, like, no one compares to Alanis Morissette, which I agree. But even if Brandy's singing Spoon, the fact that we'll get Spoon, to me the best part of Spoon is the breakdown anyway. She might be charging 10K to play to play. No, come. Um, right. I think Dave is charging 10K. Like they play Trouble. Like you're telling me this. Okay, going back to the last couple Dave and Dave and Tim Mexicos, you're telling me they magically can just play Trouble and Spoon for these shows, and I know that's the whole selling point is to get rare stuff, but you can't even play it once at the Gorge. Like they can't play it once at the Gorge. They can't play it once at Saratoga. Like I know you have to make this stuff super rare, but you can't even play one of them. Like you can't play it one time on tour with the full band, or even a Dave and Tim show. Like nope, it's only at Mexico. I know, like guys, whatever, whatever. Dodo, like come on, let's get Dodo back with the full band. Nope, it's only the only chance you have is in Mexico. There. And let's go to last night. We'll talk about this night, but I'm glad Sugar Will was played tonight. So we're gonna go to Tour Central. I'm gonna look at this just to go back to last night. Let's see, let me get a drink here. All right, I'm back. So 14th, the pig. As I said on Twitter, follow me at Conservist34 on Twitter. That was a shock just because for night one I thought it was gonna be That Girl Is You or something else, and we got Pig. And do you remember as I listened to it last night? As much as I said I don't like this, like I'm like, oh, it's skippable. This song has a little bit of flair and style, and I've always liked the little breakdown, the da 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 dun dun da 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 dun 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 dun. But just I was looking up the tablature for guitar, and sometimes when I play a Dave Matthews song or Dave Matthews Band song, it when I play it, I get more enjoyment out of the melody of it because I see what he's actually doing. And do you remember I was actually trying to like play it for the first time? I never looked at the tab for some reason. Probably because again, Come Tomorrow, a lot of the stuff outside of Virginia in the Rain, a couple other stuff I don't care. Black and Bluebird, that's it. Only two songs I care about. Or from the newer stuff, I knew Idea You and all that, but do you remember was more impressive than I thought there. Oh, it's Watchtower, which to me, Watchtower is overplayed by the band. Great song, great. Don't get me wrong, great song. Doesn't need to be played too much as much as it does. And some of these sets, they're just going. They're like lazing. They're lazing out of it. They're being lazy by just playing Watchtower instead of one of their songs. To me, I prefer. Got the closers. Talking Tunes picked that. But we got a Pig. Do you remember a Stay Third song? To me, that's only Buddy Strong. The Lovely Ladies, when they're that's the difference between Buddy Strong and the Lovely Ladies. The Lovely Ladies, your set is predictable at the end of this set. There's only so many songs they can play. Or, now Drunken Soldier was added in their last comeback, and they ruined that by just, oh, and I see that's not a star, that's a satellite, that's Stefan, and that's Dave, and that's Boy. Well, not Boy anymore, but that's what they were saying because Boy was still there. And 14 and 15, I saw the first Lovely Ladies show. I believe that was 6-7, 14. I think it was 6-7 or 6-8, 14. Lovely Ladies come back. I see two mics, a couple mics come on stage. I'm like, hmm, is that the Lovely Ladies? Yep, they come on. I'm like, why are there just mics? But anyway, so what Buddy does is, the band would never even do this outside of now that they have new energy from Buddy. They do something like Stay Third, and then the fish tender, which is awesome. And then here's what's great about last night. You have a fish tender, and then you have a so much to say bridge. To too much, and to me, that is like that's just all of that at the beginning was an awesome way to do that. No, I don't want to see the Lovely Ladies. Buddy does what the Lovely Ladies does by himself. The problem is again, like they only come at the end of the set. They can't come in for the first three songs. But because you have Buddy Strong who can play the keys and sing, you can have him on stay early on. And then but then you have the fish tender, the so much to say bridge too much, and then you have Nancy's. You go to the bathroom during Samurai Cop, and then you have a Gray Street to here on out. Then you have Don't Drink the Water, which I would go to the bathroom again because that song is too loud. Um, but then you have a Recently. That's awesome. And also Dave is singing, I think on Too Much, they were saying, and Recently. I was listening to the live stream. One Long Angel, one, just one. Okay, because I've never heard it. I never heard it live, so I'd like to cross that off. Just one angel. If they do it every night, then I'm at it now. Because people that have already heard it once, that's all you need to hear it is once. Um, or just Angel without them. I just think the Lovely Ladies, they're amazing. They're talented, and like one of them sings for Springsteen, but with the band that is jamming like this, it standardizes the set. When I went to my show in Mansfield, I think it was like said 6/8/14 or 6/7/14, one of those dates. That was an amazing show. They did like a 36. It was every day, but it was 36, which I've never heard because by when 36 was played live, I wasn't going to shows. By the time I started going every day was what it was. So that was cool for that show. Then the next year they come back around to Hartford because they do their victory lap. Any shows they missed from the first year, they tried to make the second year. And I just was like, I don't need them again. They did Can't Stop, and I think they did Drunken Soldier I think I was at their Drunken Soldier. But anyway, I didn't need them after one show. Um, but they're great women, and they have high energy, and they can sing, okay? And they play and sing for other amazing artists. But for a jam band, it's hard to do that. Um, People in the Grateful Dead community complain about Donna Gautreaux, who I saw with Dead and Company. Again, it's hard when you have someone like that for that when it's a touring, like even like Tedeschi Trucks actually has good backup singers, but they're ready, and some of them play instruments. Like Tedeschi Trucks is the exception, because they have great backup singers. But most jam bands, you can't have these sing. You have to have the ability to go from one song to another, and have an entire choir. An entire choir can't just on the fly sing a random song. They have to kind of be prepped and ready for what they're going to do vocally. So that's why the Lovely Ladies take away. But again, they're lovely ladies. Nothing against them personally, just they're not the best fit for what the band does. But the Recently, and then the Two Step and the Ants Marching, um, good first night. Gives me the vibes of like a SPAC, or what even you got in Guilford, New Hampshire, or Deer Creeks. When you have these night ones that you're like, wow, if this was a single night show, this would be amazing. And today, I look, D&B family, I love them. Don't get me wrong. I'm like D&B family. I love a lot of the people there, but some of the comments are just one of the frustrating thing is, and I'm fairly a new fan, but I've learned the system of D&B from 2012 to now. But someone was like, how could they ever top night one? Outside of a couple rare occurrences, and most of those are at popular venues like a SPAC, or an Alpine. Rare, like I think they played Let You Down night one a couple years ago, and you could argue that show was as good as night two. But when you go to a show for night one, how can they ever top this? Uh, on night that every time they top for night two, and today, what we get is we get a Granny to start off, which is a beautiful song to start off. Yes, we get a Satellite. Yes, we get a That Is Girl Is You. But in between, we have a number 27, we have a Stone and a Crush. Number 27, Stone and Crush. Just boom, 3, 4, 5. You're killing it, right? Or no, 4, 5, 6. That girl is you. Okay, yep. You go to the bathroom. See, the thing is, like a song like that, that's you have to go to the bathroom in a 2 night stand. You get a That Girl Is You, a Satellite, a Samurai Cop. You got to go to the bathroom. And then what would you say again and again? All right, we're heating up. And then Sugar Will, folks, is back. Love it. This is a song where Tim Reynolds should play guitar, play electric guitar. Dave said something about Boyd. Ooh, we'll have to see. We'll talk about Boyd in a second, but we got what we'll talk about Boyd is going to be limited because again, we don't want to get too much into the debates and the he said she said. But ooh, he says something about Boyd. We'll have to see. Unless he said as a young boy, because I think he says as a young man or a young boy. Who knows? People twist stuff. Patrick, we'll talk about Boyd in a second, but I don't think he should come back. I no. But we'll talk about that in a second. Sugar Will to Sledgehammer. Then the maker Amos Lee guest on there, and Amos Lee actually is like the first person or second person from Philly to actually guest in Philly. Let me check what the almanac said on that because there was something there. Oh, first time Philadelphia native Amos Lee has guested. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Roots have guested with DMB, and they're from Philly. Um, just a random, and I'm sure there's a couple other people. But yeah, Amos Lee on the Maker, and he's an acoustic singer songwriter, I believe. I think I've heard a little bit of some of the stuff he's done. But yeah, yeah. So the Maker, and then you get the YIM, Can't Stop, You and Me, Jimmy, Monkey, whatever. But then you get a Billy's to Wash Hour. So this is really mid to top heavy. But to me, just Sugar Will, the Stone, in 27, just all of those by themselves coming on, and then Sugar Will and the make I think the maker. What are the two liberations? Let's see the liberations here for tonight, because some of this stuff has been played. Sugar Will and the maker were the liberations. Maker's only 34 because I was like, I thought it was played. Bob Weir was on that, but that was a couple years ago. Oh, he played it for the Dave and Tim. Dave and Tim, they played it. Was it liberated because it was aimlessly open a half a dozen times assigned to ATL? Is that Dave's? Is that Dave's record label? Is signed to ATL. I know Bob Weir did the Maker. Was that 16? Oh yeah, because the Makers. Oh yeah, the Bob Weir one was it 617? That was in 2016. 2016. Bob Weir, the Maker. Was that 9-4 or 8-6? Oh, Dave's and Capsules. Isn't I'm saying Chris Sale, because Sail Away. David Gray's on that, right? I say Chris Sale because every time Chris Sale gets beat, I want to just send Sale away to my Red Sox fans friends because I'm a Yankees fan. I've sent it a couple times. Sail away from me, honey. Oh yeah, that was at Berkeley. Yeah. Berkeley 16, we have the Maker there. And then it was played another time on tour at the Gorge, I think it was. But David Gray is also someone I need to see. I wish I would have seen David Gray earlier in his career. He's still touring, but I just really wish I could have caught him more towards that Caravan era, um, or even before that. I did like my friend put me on to him, but I didn't start listening to him till a couple years ago. But yeah, so great show tonight, and again, to me, this is what I was telling someone, and I get in these arguments nonstop. But I mean, I guess I try to control it now, but I like to get into the debates to prove my point because sometimes you have to tell people over and over for them to understand. Uh, I'm not expecting the band to play just these crazy, like sweet up and down to Monkey Man to this to that. All I need is a couple game breakers. To me, game breakers tonight, Sugar Will, The Stone, The Maker. Just and 27 to me is another one. Now 27, I like that it hasn't been played for a while. I think if I heard 27, like the whole sick of you, sick of me, like that can be played out if you heard it a couple times on tour. And then all my weakness gets my sickness gets the sickness. I hope you be by me. Then like that can get played out. But at the same time, I love a 27 coming back. That's a song that should take some time off and come back. But to me, the Sugar Will, the Stone, the Maker, and 27. I mean, you could add 27, but like those alone is what makes a show. To say, hey, I got this song. I got these two songs that are special. Everything else, look, it's great. I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna have fun. But I need these two songs to be special. Just give me two or give me three. Back in the day, you would have five or six songs that were just all amazing. But now, being realistic, you can't do that there. But that's great stuff. And by the way, Groton 27, I know you're on the shoreline, I believe, but Outlaw Fest is in Hartford tomorrow. The Revivalists, um, Willie Nelson, Phil Lesh and friends, Allison Krauss. I am going. I bought a $25 ticket after fees was 40, but that's Ticketmaster for you. $10 and some other charge. And I'm like, I knew what to expect, but it's like you can buy a $25 ticket, like I did, and then you get the fees and it's 40. But hey man, what are you gonna do? Aisle seats, aisle seat in the 700s. So if anyone's going to Outlaw Fest, I will be there with my new digital camera, and I have 10 times zoom instead of like four times. So I got a Canon Power Shot, and it has Wi-Fi too, so I can like send it to an app on my phone and upload it to YouTube from my phone if I really wanted to, or if I'm on the road, which I'll be on the road for the Gorge, and I can upload those from my phone to YouTube when I won't bring my laptop to the Gorge. So got a cool new digital camera. Probably could have got a better one, but I just didn't want to spend the money. And maybe if things go well with the channel, if there's still a need for D&B content in a year or two, I'll buy a $300 or $400 camera, a digital camera, or even like a $200 one. But Outlaw Fest is going to be fun. The Avid Brothers won't be there. They're like only in select shows. But Willie Nelson, I mean, he just came here in September, so to have him back, I'm gonna have a. It's gonna be great to see him. I may leave during Willie Nelson. I hate to do it, but it's gonna be a long night of music, and I'm trying to get home for work, get some sleep. So depending on how late it runs, I may leave. But Willie Nelson, at Farm Aid last year was amazing, and he still has it. A lot of artists still have it, but a lot of artists don't. And Willie Nelson reminds me of Greg Allman. He reminds me of Bob Weir, where they're just guys. They're old and they can play. Buddy Guy can same thing. Although Buddy's getting up there, and I really wish him the best. Not that he's sick or anything, but I know that I mean he's just at that age. He's in his late 80s, where just like BB King, we got to appreciate him while he's here because Buddy Guy, great blues guitarist, did a lot of things with distortion that people don't realize. Check out Buddy Guy and just look up his history that turned into rock music too. Some of the distortion effects he did helped rock music. Some of the stuff he messed with plays a strat, has a polka dot strat, signature strat. Um, I saw BB King and Buddy Guy in 2010 at Foxwood Casinos. I know Groton 27, you know where that is, um, in Connecticut. But anyway, so that's Outlaw Fest tomorrow. Now, here's the thing with the Boyd, and I'll try to keep this short and sweet. But Boyd settled. Now, here's the thing with settlements, we don't know. It doesn't mean he's innocent, it doesn't mean he's guilty. And it was civil. But just because something is civil does not mean someone is innocent or someone is guilty. this is there's a probably a non-disclosure agreement. I'm pretty. I mean, there's a 99% chance there is. That's how settlements work. But and I'm not a lawyer, although my aunt is uh, has worked in a couple courthouses in North Carolina, Riley and Durham area courthouses. But with that said, we don't know. Like we'll probably never know the full story. And end of the day, you can't say he's guilty. You can't say he's innocent. You can have your thoughts and opinions based on what was released, but but you got to remember, even a guy like R. Kelly has settled out of court for dozens of women. And there's been people that have settled that were in it, like that actually have innocence. So they just settle because they don't want to go to court. Then whatever, there's a reason to settle. So you can have your opinion, but there's no clear cut thing with that. And some victims just want to settle and get it over with and get some sort of restitution, whether they're gold digging or whether they're saying, hey, this just didn't feel comfortable. This just didn't feel right. And I looked up to this person and so on. So we'll leave it at that. Now, here's the most important thing. Is Boyd ready to come back with this band? I know, and that's why I don't want to go there. Um, and I know, with that end, but at the same time, the bigger question is, I don't know what the settle, and at this point, it doesn't really matter because a settlement is a settlement. So, you know, it could have went to court. He could have countersued for defamation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can, but or maybe not. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to get too legal. But at the end of the day, the number one thing is, should Boyd be back with the band? And my answer is no. And I want Boyd to be in his, whatever he needs to do to support his family, whatever he needs to do to be happy. He's been through a loss. He's been through some things, struggling in his life, and whatever Boyd needs to do to be happy. And same with the alleged victim. I want both of these people to be better. Um, right, he sued for it, but I mean, they could have taken it to court. That's the thing, is, again, it's still a gray area. But if Boyd really said, "Look, hey, I'm not," he could have said, "Hey, I'm not." No, let's bring the facts out, and that's where it's a gray area. Some people just, hey, shut up. I'll give you this. Sometimes it is either way. So that's why, again, I just want to say, we don't know. We won't know unless we were there. We won't know. But with that said, the thing is more focusing on the band. Boyd should not be back with this band. Now, I wish him the best. He has his new band that he's starting. You can check him out on Twitter if you want information on that, and there'll be more to come. But Boyd's focus, even if we assume, say the bad name, yeah, the way back. Yeah, and Alan had sent me that, or Talking Tunes, that is. I was like, yeah, yeah, I just, but he's not. The thing is, like I've said in other videos, the video I did, was that this week I made that video. Yeah, I made the boy video this week. And then I made a Sirius XM video. But you have to look at the signs. He's not on anything for this band, whether that's for big, the way that Dave feels he needs to move on and not add anything, or whether that's just what they know from behind the scenes. Um, because you can one can make something that, well, there may not have been guilt for Boyd, like legally. I mean, he's been very, very odd, and I don't want to take away from anything as far as if there's certain his sexual orientation or preferences, but beyond any allegations, or if he feels wherever he loves, I don't care. I don't care who he loves. If he, whatever his preferences are, that's not what I'm taking away. Boyd in general has just been weird. Okay, he's been in his own world for years, and maybe that's because of Roy. Maybe it's because of his mother, who was sick and dying. Maybe it's other stuff. Maybe it's his marriage, his children. I don't know, but Boyd has always been a little bit off in chemistry wise. It just didn't make sense. Right, and Grimes says they've been cutting him out for years. They really think he over medicated himself with other stuff for his death. Yeah, they've been writing Boyd out like they've been writing out Jussie Smollett out of Empire. Like they write certain people out of shows. We're like, where's so and so? Where's the old Aunt Viv? I was watching Big Love, and they didn't write someone out, but they literally just if you watch Big Love, it's about polygamy, but which is another subject politically we shouldn't talk about. But anyway, I found it interesting, interesting show. But they there's a character Teeny, and they take out one girl because they said she was looking too mature, and boy bloopers, stop talking to me. But they take out one character, one actor, because she was getting too mature for the role, because her age, like she kept looking older than what they were trying to make her be in the show. They just pulled her out. They put her, and then they add another person in randomly. She comes back from a field hockey camp in Big Love, and it's a totally different person. If Pink Floyd, and I know, speaking of that, Patrick, in a psych class, someone did a report on Sid Barrett and his psychological issues. Yeah, it's possible a Hall of Fame, maybe for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if they're willing to get into that. Which again, I could care less if they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but if they get into that, maybe down the road. Right now, not happening, not happening. Management's writing them out. I think Dave has been frustrated with them, but you got to remember, Dave just loves people. Dave is afraid. I mean, I don't know how he's behind the scenes, but Dave, he feels a connection with his band. And I think that he struggled with, should I kick out Boyd? Because you look at the Boyd bloopers, 2012, there's stuff. And that was my first year seeing the band. There's just moments I've noticed. I didn't notice them in my first concert because I didn't know what to expect live. I've heard live recordings. I had most of the stuff I listened to was studio in the mid 2000s to 2012. But going to shows at 13, 14, 15, I'm like, Boyd is just, it's hit or miss. He's off tempo. It just sounds, and the violin's an interesting instrument, and it's harder to keep in tune than an electric guitar and some of the other stuff. But it just like, Boyd has always been off to me since I started going to live shows. And this band, with Tim being added, with Carter, even in his old age, Carter is in his 60s and he still slays it like Neil. He reminds me of Neil Peart. I saw Neil Peart with Rush, the R40 show, and he still had it. He's not what he was before. Carter is not the same guy he was in '95, but Carter can still play the drums like unlike any other. Same with Neil Peart. Neil Peart and R40, not the Neil Peart that was in the '70s and '80s and even the '90s. No, not the same, but still got it. But Boyd is been off, his cues have been off, and this band is a bunch of professionals. No matter how much we criticize Rashawn for being too loud, how much we criticize Tim for being too loud, Tim Reynolds, you hardly hear him mess up a note. And I agree. After Roy's death, and then the carpal tunnel surgery, I can't remember if it was 2011, but he had it at some point. And the thing is, I think some people are trying to write him in that, oh, all he needs to do is get himself right and he'll be better. Let's just assume that Boyd is mentally right. He's grieved the loss of his mother, and he's ready to move on. He still had the carpal tunnel surgery. He will never be the same, even if he's fully like feels 100% for what he can be. And that's why I compare Boyd and I compare the Dave Matthews Band to athletes. They are at the end of their career. They're the receiver that used to line up on the outside. Now they're in the slot. They have to block more. Everyone in the band can't go back to a certain era of performance. The Dave's voice won't be what it was back in 96, 97, 98, because Dave's voice initially was kind of rough and he got it better towards the turn of the century. And then it kind of started to fake. I mean, he was playing so much, playing and singing so much. But these players, they're human. And Tim will always be able to just slay whatever he wants for the near future. But that's different than what Dave can do vocally. It's different than what Carter can do. And Patrick's right. Surgery comes with painkillers. And even Dave's, his voice comes with steroid injections, which aren't as bad as painkillers, but they're still injections. So you've seen Dave go natural, and his voice has suffered a little bit because he's gone natural, but he's decided to go natural for his own reasons. Um, oh, he was smoking to oh, so I didn't realize he smoked that long. I heard he smoked a little, but wow, a pack a day. But even so, like Dave's voice just it won't come back. And yeah, athletes. I mean, I'm a hockey player, and I was fortunate enough to not have any like broken legs or anything. But my head was rung a couple times. Maybe I had a concussion. I don't think I had a severe concussion. If anything, it would have been mild, just because of the symptoms I know from people who had um, serious concussions. But people I know in sports that got serious injuries in hockey. I mean, those painkillers are real. The prescription drugs and stuff they were just giving people. I remember having surgery, and everyone knows this. Everyone knows people who are affected by this. But I remember having surgery, my wisdom teeth removed, and my dad snatched up. They gave me a whole thing of oxy, and my dad snatched it up. The first day he let me have one, and then the next day he said, hey, how are you feeling? I was like, I'm good. I don't need it. He threw them away. He threw them away. Like he was just like, that's it. Nope, I'm not having my son have any chance of this. It's his wisdom teeth, okay? And he'll be fine. It's a little different with legs and arms and things like that. And but the opiates just it's no joke. So who knows? But at the end of the day, Boyd just doesn't fit this band. This band is on point. It's tight, and Boyd wouldn't be able to hang with these people. And again, as I've said, um, there, Leia is the one spot guest. It's not gonna work. You bring them on for one song, and all right. I know you had said that your father with the hockey, yeah, and back in his day, those guys didn't even hardly had helmets. You know, back 70s, 80s, they started having helmets, but in this, if you played in the late 70s, you didn't have to wear a helmet. They said people after a certain year had to wear helmets, and now they said people after a certain year in hockey, if you weren't, I think it was like can't remember what year it was. I think it was like 2010 or something like that. If you came in the league after a certain time, you have to have a visor where it used to be able to have just a helmet. About 5 or 6 years ago, they grandfathered people in with no helmet, with the no visor. But now everyone that's been in the league in the last 5 years or so, they have to have a visor. So yeah, Pank. I mean, it's no joke. But Boyd just can't. He can't fit this band. That's all I want to talk about with Boyd. I mean, it's just something that it's a never ending thing. Um, yeah, so a session player. Now the only thing with the violinist though is the Dave Matthews Band is you have to be able to tour, and it's a risky investment. I brought this up a year ago. The violinists that could hop in with a band like this already have gigs. You can't expect Zach Brown band violinists to go from Zach Brown to here. You got to remember, not only did Jeff play with the Flecktones and with Dave Matthews, the Flecktones was a niche. They had their market, but they also gave the blessing. They were so close that they said, "Hey, go over, fill in for our good friend Leroy," because they knew Roy too. So that was just a once in a lifetime opportunity to do that. With DMB and a jam band, it's different because of the sheer amount of shows you have to commit to. A session player would make more money and could be closer to home playing for Disney. I've been behind the scenes of Disney and I've sight read for Aladdin when I went to Disney 11 years ago. So I've seen where these session players come in. I actually got to talk to someone who are, well, not personally, but he talked to our group about people who come in and he was like one of the session players. So you make more money being a session player and you can chill at home, or you can fly here and there and go, it's for a week and you go back. The road is rough. And to learn 100 songs, that's really the biggest thing. First of all, the band doesn't want a violin player. Um, but now they could have a guest come in, but it seems like they're not really open. We'll see what happens at the Gorge and Alpine and SPAC. A guest is something that's more feasible. But to have someone commit to this band, Carter's in his 60s. So the only people that could really do this type of touring, and you look to Nashville, they already have gigs with bands who are going somewhere. You want Luke Bryan, the fiddle player, to go play Dave Matthews Band, where all he has to do is play the same set every night and sell out stadiums. You want pick any other Toby Key, whoever, they're going to easily pick the country violinist who's selling out stadiums still, where Dave can't sell out stadiums anymore. He can sell out amphitheaters and arenas for sure. And for a last concert or a last concert series, he could probably fill up a stadium or two. He could fill up, the MetLife, and fill up other stadiums for his final concerts, because then everyone's gonna come back. People that just don't go because of no violin, people who don't go post Roy, are gonna come back for Dave's final shows. But for now, you can make so much more money and have so much less effort playing the same set every night for Luke Bryan. And I've seen Luke Bryan at the Houston Rodeo. A lot easier to find someone who's going to be willing to learn 100 plus songs. Only for you're really going year to year. This band could take a break, take a hiatus at any time, because of, even if Dave feels like he wants to be close to his family, he's family is a more important thing now than it was in '96. And he didn't have kids. So it's a risky proposition to be touring and to commit to all these days, and then also the finances. What are they going to do with Buddy? Buddy's here to stay, but just like Dave leaned on Rashawn at one point, he's leaning on Buddy for the energy. And so now they gotta fit a contract in for a violin player, and ticket prices are already expensive. They're trying to pay. I think they're trying to pay for the crew. To me, I think a lot of the ticket price expenses is the different uh, cost to transport, but to keep the crew happy, I think that's why the ticket prices are going up. And then Live Nation, all they want their cut too. But just keep in mind, it's very hard to find a violin player for a jam band to just hop on. These people are committed to younger bands. That's the thing. It's hard to find, and then to have someone to commit for maybe 2 or 3 years, if that. By the time you learn all the songs, this band may be over. Okay, when like you fully feel comfortable, and then you have to be able to collab with these artists. And the thing is, though, if they get it right, yeah, the fees did go, but the prices did too. I mean, the fees are a killer. Don't get me wrong. But to go from 85, my pit tickets in 2015 were $85. And what's happening is twofold. Take away the fees, that's the number one thing. Like I just said, I purchased Outlaw Fest tickets for $25 and my ticket is 40. You know, but let's take a look at this. 2015, I get pit from the warehouse. I pay $85. The bleachers they're pretty much the bleachers, yeah, the bleachers of Mansfield are pretty much like the lawn. If they put seats in the front of the lawn at any amphitheater, that's what the bleacher seats are at Mansfield. Those are $85. You're paying $85. The same cost for the pit in 2015 and 2018. That was the cost. Some of the seats that are being now, there are upper level seats that are $115. Certain venues where there's an upper and lower, if they're dead center in the first couple rows, they're $115. So, um, yeah, it used to be lawn, and and when it was Great Woods, and then they built the seats. But the thing is, the ticket prices haven't gone up so much, especially when you compare them to other acts. But at the same time, what they're declassifying as an $85 seat used to be a $45 seat. And what they're classifying as a $115 seat, some of these seats are in the upper level. Certain select seats in the upper level, people were being charged. They were confirmed to Alpine or another show, and they're being charged 115 bucks to be in the upper level. I don't care if you're in the first row of the upper level, which is kind of nicer, but uppers for 115 plus fees, that's a lot. And even parts of Mansfield, the back of the what is the lower level, it gets pretty deep. Or no, not the back of the lower level. The hey Michael, um the second level of the amphitheater. So the uppers in Mansfield are all 115 bucks. They're all 115 bucks for Mansfield. There's no $85 unless maybe the far corner. But the Mansfield seats for the upper deck, upper level versus the lowers, it's the same price. And those were always cheaper. So that's the thing is the price going up and all this stuff. It would be nice to have a violin back. They don't need a violin, and tonight is an example of this. Yeah, good to see you, Michael. Glad you caught you live. Now it would be nice in certain songs, and I was listening to what was I listening to today? I was listening to live tracks. Let me see if I can look on my phone. Live tracks 31, and I was listening to the Stone. Oh, not the Stone. What was I listening to? Well, I was listening to the Stone today from '04. Um, right, grind. It is red light, and Live Nation, but the band doesn't get involved. The band could say, "Yo, let's cut this back," because you have certain artists that are saying, "Look, we're not gonna take this stuff. These platinum seats, no, we're not gonna. No, we're not doing it." Like they could. They're not even taking a stand. Um, Nashville for 15 bucks. That's crazy. What was I listening to today? Oh, I was listening to the Stone on DMB radio, and then I was listening to What You Are today from Live Tracks 31 and a couple other ones. Yeah, the band has always deferred to their management and to their manager. Like they've always deferred. Look, the band has been politically. They will go across. Like Dave is talking about all this political stuff and yelling at da 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 da. I like bridges. I don't like walls, and you can suck it. You're wrong. He's saying all this stuff, but when he talk about saving the earth, he's talking about being eco-friendly. Which hey, these are his causes. That's what he feels. He feels. Although a study shows that that politically, celebrity endorsements don't impact voters, which is I can clearly see that because people see this rich person that of either party, rich person supporting guns, rich person supporting all this stuff. That's not going to change your opinion of something because you're this. And people, a lot of conservatives who hate DMB's message still go. And matter of fact, Nikki Haley, which I wanted to bring up, this is a good time to bring it up. Nikki Haley quoted DMB yesterday. Oh no, she didn't quote. She posted a video on Twitter of a copper pot find, not just a standard YouTube Dave Matthews. She posted a copper pot say goodbye. Okay, and Nikki Haley of all people should know how far left Dave is, and she was part of Trump's administration, South Carolina, like so clearly, you know, it's people don't care about this. Oh, he told her to F herself. Oh wow. But anyway, but that's the thing is like people don't care about the political stuff because someone on Twitter is like, "Oh, Dave, you're messing up your legacy, son." About when he was awarded for the eco-friendly thing and all that stuff. But like that doesn't matter. People will anyway. Let's get away from the politics. But there's just another fun, interesting thing because people are always saying, "Oh, Dave is his political speech is ruining his legacy." Nikki Haley's still playing it. Mike Huckabee loves Victor Wooten. But the Flecktones and Mike Huckabee, they don't have the same political views. But Victor Wooten's was on that Huckabee show on Fox News. So anyway, that's the whole thing. But what was I saying? So But yeah, that was a cool thing that I saw. Well, not interesting thing I saw that she posted a copper pot thing. Um, oops, sorry, I'm trying to get out of this chat. But let's see. So that's pretty much it. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm gonna get off soon. But if there's anything else you want to talk about, I'm happy with the way this band is trending. I understand. Like to me, I think I'm fine without the violin right now. If they're gonna play the Stone, if they're gonna play Sugar Will, and if they're on this, if they're gonna have these rare songs, that's what we're gonna have to get for this tour. As I've said in previous, Dave is stubborn. Right now, he's not gonna do what he wants. Oh, Fonz did rant some of her merch being made in China. Uh, oh, he did. Yeah. Well, yeah, Fonz is on Twitter. Okay, interesting though that she still follows them after all that. But I think people just like the music they like. And there's a lot of very liberal. I mean, I always say with the Roger Waters, oh, how is he so liberal? Bro, have you heard Pink Floyd songs? The Machine, okay? And it's not about large liberal governments. It's about the political machine of just in at that time it was more of a conservative um, hierarchy in American politics at that time. The 50s and then moving in the 60s. Animals. I know. Like, what do you expect? Like, you think that he really is like not going to be liberal? If you listen to Pink Floyd's catalog, it's like, yeah, the wall. I know the wall. It's like, like just you can't miss you can't swing and a miss on any Pink Floyd references. But people are like, oh, why is he so political? Like this music came from the political climate, like the Beatles. Why are they so? Lennon was so. Their music is inspired. It's inspired by their views. But anyway, I think it's funny. Now, yeah, D&B, don't drink the water and cry free. Yeah, and that's the thing is those are very like indigenous people and yeah and the cry freedom with even that relating to apartheid. And Dave wanting to leave South Africa, avoiding military service because he didn't like it. Um, oh, you were at the 8798 show when he mentioned Al Qaeda. Oh yeah, the Kenyan embassy. Yeah, so you were at that show, Michael. Interesting. Yeah. So they have that, but again, everyone has their opinions, and to me, the political stuff, it's only 2 or 3 minutes. Right. Dave has always been well, but the thing is, love and peace. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say love and peace because he's just been liberal. Liberal. Any political party can say love and peace. That's the thing is, but both political parties right now, and the side and sub parties, is very aggressive and angry and hateful on both sides. There, so well, anyway, that's a whole different thing. But um, to me, I'm happy where this band's going. Check out my videos from Outlaw Fest tomorrow, and I will be also at Mansfield, at Hartford. If you guys want to message me on Twitter or even on YouTube, you want to say what's up at the show, I'll try to. If you're at Hartford or Mansfield, I'd love to have a chat if I can, in the parking lot or at the show, inside the show. Although once the show starts, and Mansfield, I'm in there and I'm out. Same thing with Hartford once the show starts because we don't have two sets. So try to hit me up before the show there, and maybe I'll see you guys. Oh, let me know, Groton. Are you on Twitter or anything? Because if you message me on Twitter, I'll try to be walking around Mansfield, and I'm off at 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna try to get down there for the evening. So let me know, Groton. Oh, some devil for okay. Let me add that now, and then I'll just And just message me that day if I forget. Conservist 34, because yeah, I love to have chats. I said yesterday, DMB has the best and the worst fans. Um, because someone was like, "Oh, DMB has the best fans." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I've seen the best and the worst at Dave Matthews Band shows, and some of the fans, again, to me, just and maybe I'm too harsh, but it's just like some of the fans like just have balance, have balance. Like people don't have balance in their life. Yeah, they're so fake. Like some of the fans don't be like, oh, positive only. You can't be negative on the set. You're ruining my vibes. The world is cruel. The world is honest. The people that you care about, you say how you feel, whether you're right or you're wrong, whether they change or they don't. I don't certain artists I don't care about. If you see like, well, that's not true because I like certain artists, like Johnny Swim, and I have no complaints with their show. But there'll be a band that I don't care as much for, and I'll be like, yeah, they're cool, but I don't critique every part of their set because I don't care as much about them as DMB. Um, so it's just like people are like, oh, don't like some people don't be so negative. You're ruining my vibe. Like that type of stuff is so like to me, it's and I know some people mean well, but you can't go around saying don't be negative. Like now you shouldn't be around negative people. Like toxic people are toxic people. But when you can't hear an opinion that hey, maybe the band's new music isn't as good as their old, maybe the songwriting has gone downhill after 20 years, after 25 to 30 years. Like it's just like the same thing with sports. It's like, hey, maybe Carmelo Anthony just isn't good anymore. Or maybe this player isn't. No, you can't diss him. Oh, like, yeah, you can. He's not as good. Great career, great person, great human being, not as good. Put him on the bench. He's starting off the bench. Um, but there's the best and the worst. There's bros, people who are fighting and drunk. And one thing I'll say is, guys, be careful out there in light of the horrible tragedy in Missouri of a DMB fan. We still don't know as much of what happened. And hopefully, if there's any details, the Maryland Heights, Missouri police, if you were at that show, they would love to hear that. Oh, Stevie, I love Stevie Wonder. I got his stuff over here. His songs in the key of life, inner visions, and hotter than July. Like I got all these on vinyl over here by my record player. Stevie Wonder to me is the best musician of all time. Of at least in this modern era, like you obviously you can't compare him to the Beethovens and Bachs, but Stevie Wonder, Stevie Wonder, to me, the reason he's the best musician, first off, he's a child prodigy. His first couple albums are just instrumental. Survives child prodigy status. Goes on, makes some stuff, sign, seal, deliver, things like that in the 60s. Goes on to the 70s and makes even more stuff. 69, he's opening up for the Rolling Stones. Imagine that. Stevie Wonder and the Rolling Stones, and I think it was 69. So he's cross blending. Um, yeah, Hartford's a mess. Hartford is just that, and that's why I probably have a more negative feeling than I should about DMB fans, because Hartford is the culture of Hartford is you have your diehard fans, you have people who just go there to cause trouble and be drunk and be crazy, and every show has its wildness, but everyone who goes to Hartford from like they come from out of town, they're like, whoa, this is worse than even where I am. So it's not even people from the like it's not even people from Hartford. It's people from the suburbs and from other communities outside of Hartford who trash it, who make it dirty, who make it bad. Mansfield is so much better. And I started going in 2013, my second year of shows, and I didn't realize how much different of a show it can be just by going there. SPAC, same thing. Even though people get crazy drunk at SPAC, it's not even close to Hartford. It's crowded, sure, But even in upstate New York, they're just more. It's a better. Yep, West Hartford, Weehawken, and Simsbury, and like all this stuff, Avon, and I grew up in South Windsor. Yeah, kids get their parents limo, and they take mommy. I say mommy and daddy's BMW. Some It's not all BMWs. A lot of them have the big trucks to overcompensate for the lack of a man they aren't. They're not true men by nature, so they have to have super big trucks, and they probably are have a they're flashing their permit to carry, even though I, support Second Amendment rights, but they're just flashing around. Oh, I got a gun. Oh, yeah. Like, dude, you're an idiot. Why are you telling people? Like, don't. That's the whole point of concealed. Anyway, That's just part of Connecticut culture. Is you have these people who are wild and crazy come down to Hartford and just trash. Yeah, the huge NRA say, "Oh, gee, like you can be pro Second Amendment." Oh, I got the big stick. Like it just like a decal on their back window. Yep, it's like or something about some. Oh, these liberals are all this and that and live free. Like, come, dude. You realize you can just your actions can speak louder than your words. Like no one's saying you can't be have these opinions, but like to just I have to show it. Like but anyway, that's just what we deal with here in Connecticut. It's across the country, but in Connecticut, it's just when we go to the show, this is what you see down at the Meadows. Is you see a lot of people there for the show because we don't have pro sports. The Whalers left when I was 6.5, so they haven't been since '97. We haven't had professional hockey. We have minor league stuff. We have UConn, but even UConn isn't that. What we have a venue where the lawn seats 22,000 people, and that creates a party environment. There's 22,000 cheap seats, not 5,000 or 8,000. 22,000 seat, like the space for 22,000 people. So it creates that. But going back to Stevie Wonder, to me, and even Dave says like on the DMB radio, he just says like, there's no one better than Stevie. Stevie Wonder is right. Alpine has a large lawn there. I haven't been personally, but Stevie Wonder to me is the greatest artist to survive so many eras, to have like um or the cops crack down. Yeah, Alpine's more out in the middle of nowhere though, right? In East Troy. Just like Red Rocks, they cracked down on the Dave shows, and that's part of the reason they don't play it anymore. I mean, they're too big for it, but the last weekend they had there were some issues. But the other thing is, but Stevie Wonder just he made Before These Crowded Streets like 7 times, just to put it in perspective. Like his before, there's not one Before These Crowded Streets. He made Before These Crowded Streets like we're not maybe not 7 times, but probably 3 or 4 times. Um, Songs in the Key of Life, which is a double album, Inner Visions and Talking Book, and like to me, there's just no one like him. But yeah, that's let me get off here because it's 11:43. I have to get to bed. I got a concert, Father's Day stuff. You see and happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. I'm blessed. Both of my grandparents are living. Grandfathers are living. Both of my grandmothers are living. I'm 28 years old. Both of my grandfathers are in my life. My dad is in my life. None of them did anything to abandon me, to distance themselves from me, and that's made me the person I am, the character person I am, the mentor I am to kids in my community, mentoring, with the young men at my church there, and even doing the babysitting for the toddlers every now and then, helping my mom at the church daycare, and then with my friends' kids. I mean, it's my father's. So if any of you guys are fathers, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Michael. 2 daughters. That's awesome. My friend actually, Michael, if you look on my Twitter, there's a video of me dancing with the girl. My friend has 2 daughters. They're 4 years apart. So he has so I know in about 13 years, it's gonna or 10 years, but I think it's beautiful. Sons or daughters. I can't wait till I have kids. I've had 9 and 6. Okay, so they're about the same distance as my friend's kids, but they're my friends' kids are younger. But I look forward to being a father. It's one of the things that I can't wait to do. I need to find the right woman. But yeah, I want a baby girl, not only for me, but for my mom who had two boys, and I know my dad would love a granddaughter too. And but I'm blessed because both of my grandfathers are just class acts. Um, and my dad's father, his dad abandoned him. Really was just he divorced my great grandmother and ended up kind of dying on drugs in New York City. But both of my grandfathers, they pledged to be great men, and my mom and my dad benefited from that, and that only passed on to me. But we shouldn't discredit the fathers and the mothers. We always give thanks to mothers, but we don't give enough to fathers. And that's unfortunate. I know a lot of people have been hurt by fathers more than mothers, and mothers hurt people too. Don't get me wrong. But we should, the men who get it, the men who support their wives and their children, and don't just try to be all like we just said, the NRA sticker, flashing their pistol around like, um, like that type of stuff, which puts their family in danger. Tries to bring out the book, they get pulled over, and they bring out the book of like, oh, da, 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 like I can, and just that's not what we're talking like. But the fathers who are there supporting, doing the best they can, who may have made a mistake, had a child, hey, I wasn't ready for this child, but decide to say, hey, I'm gonna do the best I can. Thank you for all the fathers, and even to Dave Matthews, who is. I'm glad for this part of his life too. As much as I don't like the Come Tomorrow stuff and the songwriting, the fact that he has a family, and he lost his father at a young age, but is able to be there for his kids. I would never want him to do shows if family is what he needs. I would never want him to do shows. If he needs to cancel shows, he needs to cut stuff for his family. I understand. Same thing with Boyd. Whatever his family needs, um, to me, I wish the best for his family and for him personally. And same thing with Stefan and Jeff doesn't have kids. I believe doesn't have kids. Carter, I think has kids. Does he? Um, Carter looks like he was ready to start a family with those smiles. He's like, hey, hey, with his wife. He's like, I can't wait to get back to the crib. We gonna make some baby. Anyway, let me stop. But that's all I gotta say for now. But happy Father's Day. Thank you guys for coming. At Conservis34. If you and I appreciate you guys. I know it's like 5 or 6 of you, but this is why I do this. I don't do this for a bajillion followers or people who are gonna just follow me for a little. Like I just do this because I like to talk to you guys. This is a conversation. I take some of the stuff you guys say and I add that to my thought process. Like Groton, I know you say stuff and talking tunes and DMB Mamas and Michael. Haven't heard as much from you, but I hope to hear more from you here in the videos as far as giving me insight and thought provoking things because you're a veteran as well, going to shows in the late '90s. I don't know everything. I the first to say that, and I like to hear from people who have been a part of this band community longer than me. I try to bring more insight as a newer fan, looking at an older fan because there's certain stuff from that I've been a fan of, like hockey, since I was a kid. And when a newer fan brings up something and says, "Hey, da 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 da," it changes my perspective. I'm too hooked on the hockey or too hooked on to certain artists because I was there from day one. But for Dave Matthews, I can look at it and say, "Well, emotionally, this is where you may be, but these are the stats from 2000, 2001." But I also like to hear those who have that knowledge of being at physical shows in 1998 when I wasn't, too young to be going to shows. But yeah, I guess I could talk to you guys for hours. Let me get off. It's an hour and 24 minutes, but I'll try to be on. Or I can't be on next Saturday because of the show, but I'll try to see if I can get on Sunday or even sometime another time. And follow me on Twitter. Even if you don't have Twitter, just look up Conservis34 um, there, and I'll see you guys. Peace.